Prepare to
I apologize for the delay, but I have not felt safe enough or had the energy to write up my final accounts. I now feel that I can explain what happened. I will continue from where I left off. I tried to stop it. I had begged and pleaded through the door for my parents' safety, but was met with contempt. The heinous sounds of laughing mixed with my parents' screams quickly overcome me. I began to remove the barricade from the door as rage and fear rushed through me. I had removed most of the barricade when I turned to my girlfriend. She had not spoken a word throughout all of this. She sat there, pale as a ghost, rocking back and forth. I stared at her, looking for any kind of guidance, but received none. I attempted to plead for my parents' lives over and over again, but I only received one response. They would make a trade. A like-for-like trade, in a sense. They would allow my parents to live if I opened the door and handed my girlfriend over. I feel they could have broken the door down if they wanted to. I think they enjoyed me having to make a decision of this magnitude. I knew that if I opened the door, none of us would live. There was far too many of them for me to stand any chance of getting out alive. I am not a trained fighter and barely had any weapons at my disposal. I began to slowly place items back in front of the door as tears streamed down my cheeks. I was handing my parents a death sentence. The people who had raised me and always had me at the forefront of their mind. I was now about to turn my back on them. I sat back down and covered my ears to block out the misery and pain. The sounds of my mother and father soon dissipated as silence engulfed the house. The monotonous, constant cackling was all I could hear over the buzzing in my ears. The woman was mocking me. She wanted me to open the door. It took every single fiber of my being not to do so. After a little while, the sounds of the woman also disappeared. We were left in complete silence. Sirens soon filled the silence, and flashing lights lit up the house. The sound of the door being broken in was quickly followed by the police announcing themselves. Then the sound of footsteps getting closer and closer. "This is the police. Please..." "What the hell is that?" "We need to back up immediately. Get down. Get down on the ground right now. Do not move." I sat there, motionless, unable to face what was on the other side of the door. The door handle soon began to jolt up and down as the police asked us to open the door. I moved over to the door, unaware if this was just another ploy. It was at the point where it no longer mattered. I had lost all faith. I removed the barricade and opened the door. I fell to my knees as soon as I gazed upon the carnage that was ensuing outside of the room. The police officer just stared at us after realizing we were the victims in all of this. He attempted to usher me back inside of the room, but I would not move. The police were in the process of detaining the man as they waited for backup to arrive. There were 8 police officers that had arrived at the scene with what I assumed was the entire cult sitting in a circle on the balcony. There was a noose hanging in the center of them, but no one was attached to it. The police were screaming at the men to get down on the floor, but the men were not listening. The moment I had exited the room, the men had all turned to face me in sync. They all had the same sinister smirk on their faces. They did not object or struggle when the police forced them to the ground, their stares remaining transfixed on me, the man who I had considered my best friend, the man who would have done absolutely anything to keep me safe, was laying motionless at the other side of the hallway. A police officer was desperately performing CPR to bring him back, but he remained there, lifeless. I searched around the room for my mother, but she was nowhere to be seen. I snapped out of my trance and frantically began to run towards my father. The police officer sorrowfully shook his head as I approached. I began pounding on my father's chest while sobbing uncontrollably, attempting to bring him back. It was worthless. He had passed long before the police had arrived. The police officer pulled me away to console me, and I gained some composure in an attempt to find my mother. Anger took over. I walked over to the man whose glances had followed me across to the other side of the room. I screamed at one of the men as I hit him over and over again, asking where my mother was. The police officers barely had control of the situation as it was. I continued to hit the man over and over, but he remained in silence, smirking at me as blood ran down his face. The other man did not attempt to help him, and he did not bother to defend himself. They all just continued to smile at me. A police officer finally pulled me away, but we both stumbled backwards. One of the men in the circle grabbed me and pulled me in close, whispering into my ear. He spoke like a child in broken English. I am paraphrasing what he said to me. "Mother could not take us all with her. It is for the best. Soon we will all have another blessing, as will you. We will all have another brother soon. Mother is patient, but she never forgets, she never gives in. She will still get what she wants." A police officer eventually pushed him back to the floor, pushing me away as he did. I fell backwards onto the wall. I began to sob uncontrollably, begging and pleading for them to tell me where my mother had been taken. The rest of the police force soon arrived, amongst them Officer Henderson. They removed the men from upstairs and brought them down into the police vans as I sat next to my father, aimlessly stroking his hair, begging for him to return to me. We were escorted out of there soon after, as the police searched the remainder of the house and grounds. Officer Henderson was silent as he drove us over to my girlfriend's parents. I think he took some of the blame in all of this. The police constantly monitored the premises while we remained there. We did not stay there for more than a few days, as we did not want to put anyone else in danger. We were given new identities and moved to a completely different part of the UK. We have been here for a while now, and this will be my last account. We have removed ourselves from social media and made sure to never broadcast our location. The men that were arrested at the house were relatively young men. They had no identities and absolutely no records. They were ghosts. The men that were posing as police officers inside of the house and the officers that originally took us to the house have not been caught. The woman, who I now assume is behind a lot of this, has also not been caught. Officer Henderson did not mention much else about the case to us. He has updated us periodically, but has definitely held certain details back. I think he feels that we are as safe as we can be for now. My mother has not been found, and I am not sure that she will ever be. The only thing that he did tell me was that the men that were caught were of varying ages and all had the intelligence of young children. They have not stopped crying for their mother. They have not been able to answer any questions, and he is not sure if they even know what they have done. He assumes that the mother was the woman that visited us on the final night. He also believes that this cult is not just local. He does not know how far this stretches. Things will never be the same now. We fear leaving the house or contacting friends and relatives. I am not sure if we will ever feel safe again. No one can protect us forever. I blame myself completely for the death of my father. If we had not involved him, if we had just gone somewhere else, if we had made different decisions, maybe he would still be alive. I believe my mother is still alive. I believe she will be alive until they no longer need her. I hope that one day she will be found alive and well, but as the days and weeks pass by, it seems more and more unlikely. There is a small part of me that hopes that she was sacrificed. It's better than the alternative. I cannot fathom the strength it would take to survive for 9 months with these people. I know that they will find us again. I know that we cannot run forever. They may already be aware of our location. I have no idea how many people are involved in this cult. I have no idea how much longer we can run and hide. I want it all to end. I do know, however, that we are not the only ones at risk. We are not special. This final account is to serve as a warning. If you feel like you are being watched, if you see anyone out of the ordinary, if you receive anything out of the ordinary, or if you come into contact with these people, do not brush it off. Do not stay in one place. Do not trust anyone. This cult is extremely dangerous. Once they latch onto you, they will never give in. I pray that none of you are their next victims. It's in the dustiest books that you may find the best stories.